Galileo Galilei, Science, Faith, and the Struggle for Truth. The Theory of Tides, Galileo's Ultimate Proof. In 1615, Cardinal Bellarmine declared that the Copernican system, suggesting the Earth revolved around the Sun, required irrefutable physical evidence. Galileo Galilei, ever the visionary, believed he had such proof in his theory of tides. To him, the rhythmic ebb and flow of the seas were driven by the Earth's dual movements, its rotation on its axis, and its orbit around the Sun. This interplay, Galileo argued, caused the waters to sloshingly respond, creating tides. So convinced was he of its significance that he planned to title his famous work Dialogue concerning the two chief world systems as Dialogue on the Ebb and Flow of the Sea. But the Inquisition, wary of potential controversy, ordered the removal of this reference. Galileo's tidal theory, first shared with Cardinal Orsini in 1616, was pioneering in its focus on the shapes of ocean basins and their effects on tides. He correctly noted, for instance, that the tides were less pronounced in the Adriatic center than at its ends. Yet, his theory faltered fundamentally. If true, it would predict only one high tide per day. Galileo and his contemporaries knew this was incorrect, as places like Venice experienced high tides daily. Galileo dismissed this anomaly, attributing it to secondary causes like sea depth and basin shapes. Critics, including Albert Einstein centuries later, suggested that Galileo clung to this flawed theory out of desperation for physical proof of Earth's motion. Notably, Galileo rejected the ancient idea that the Moon influenced tides and ignored Kepler's revolutionary work on elliptical orbits, remaining steadfast in his conviction that tides alone validated heliocentrism. The Assayer and the Nature of Science. In 1619, Galileo engaged in a heated dispute with Jesuit mathematician Father Orazio Grassi over the nature of comets. The debate, which began with the comet sightings of 1618, evolved into a philosophical showdown on how science should be practiced. Grassi argued that comets were fiery bodies moving in regular orbits. Galileo, through his disciple Mario Guiducci, published a rebuttal that, while lacking a definitive alternative theory, attacked Grassi's conclusions and the Jesuit establishment. Their discourse on comets ridiculed Grassi and hinted at broader criticisms of Jesuit science. Galileo's response culminated in the Assayer, 1623, a fiery manifesto that defended his scientific methods and tore apart Grassi's arguments with biting wit. Dedicated to Pope Urban VIII, the work championed experimentation and mathematical precision over Aristotelian dogma, solidifying Galileo's role as a pioneer of modern science. Yet, the controversy alienated many Jesuits, creating enemies who would later play roles in Galileo's downfall. The Galileo Affair, Clash of Cosmos and Scripture. By the early 17th century, most intellectuals adhered to geocentric models of the cosmos, either Aristotelian or Tycho Brahe's hybrid of Earth-centric and heliocentric principles. Galileo's observations, like the phases of Venus and Jupiter's moons, challenged these views, but opposition came swiftly. Critics argued that heliocentrism contradicted Scripture and lacked observable proof, such as the annual stellar parallax. This absence, they claimed, made heliocentrism untenable. The turning point came in 1613, when Galileo wrote a letter to Benedetto Costelli, asserting that Scripture should not dictate scientific truths. He expanded this argument in a 1615 letter to Grand Duchess Christina, emphasizing the Bible's authority over faith and morals, not science. However, this approach alarmed church authorities. In 1616, after a review by the Roman Inquisition, heliocentrism was declared foolish and absurd, and Galileo was ordered to abandon it. His friend, Cardinal Bellarmine, personally delivered this warning. 4 years, Galileo remained silent on heliocentrism. The election of Pope Urban VIII, a known admirer, emboldened him. By 1632, he published Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems, a comparative discussion of heliocentrism and geocentrism. Though authorized by the Inquisition, the work's mocking tone, especially its portrayal of Simplicio, a geocentric advocate, angered Urban VIII, who felt personally ridiculed. Trial and condemnation. Summoned to Rome in 1633, Galileo faced charges of heresy. During the trial, he denied advocating heliocentrism, insisting that his dialogue merely explored both sides of the debate. Yet, under the threat of torture, Galileo conceded that the book could be interpreted as favoring Copernicanism. The Inquisition sentenced Galileo to house arrest for life. He was forced to recant his views, famously muttering, "And yet it moves," according to legend. His works were banned, and his legacy tarnished in his time. Yet, Galileo's defiance symbolized the enduring conflict between science and dogma, a battle that would shape the modern world. The legacy of Galileo. Galileo Galilei's life was marked by brilliance and controversy. His tidal theory, though flawed, demonstrated his relentless pursuit of evidence for heliocentrism. His clashes with Jesuits and the Church highlighted the growing tensions between faith and reason. Ultimately, Galileo's willingness to challenge orthodoxy laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution, making him not just a victim of his era, but a hero of history. His story is a testament to the power of inquiry and the price of challenging the status quo.